Hello and welcome to the Early Risers Education Policy Document. Today, my team and I have got a treat for you. In our presentation, we'll be explaining and going along the process of our education policy document. Sit back, listen, learn, and enjoy. The members of the team are as follows: Shandell Randolph, Blessing Jno.Baptiste, Kimon Cunningham, Marcella Friday, and Cherise Bideau. Here are the goals on behalf of Cherise Bideau. Number 1. Provide students at the primary school level in need with quality education, programs, and skills that they would have acquired pre-COVID-19 pandemic. 2. To execute change in teaching methodologies, behaviors, curriculum to meet the needs of students post-COVID-19. 3. To distribute quality and sufficient devices and procedures in order to aid with primary school students' quality instruction and information for learning. 4. To provide equal learning opportunities to primary school students who have been faced with family financial constraints, poverty, disabilities previously to COVID-19 pandemic. 5. To allow proactive change towards delivery of learning that allows students to use their previous methods of learning and adjust to reflective and reflexive methods of obtaining education post COVID-19.
The objectives of the Early Risers policy are as follows. The first, to make the business operating in and around Plumerton area essentially a rural community by the 30th of April 2022, to suggest the adoption of one of the three schools to aid with the provision of devices for all grades to promote learning by the start of the new school year, September 2022. The second objective, to engage with major telecommunication providers to install more infrastructure to ensure the bandwidth is strong to support the increased number of devices by September 2022. Additionally, to request that they provide SIM cards and data plans that are reasonable and affordable for students and parents in the Plumerton area. 3. The formulation of a plan by May 2022 for parental involvement on how to navigate learning platforms and troubleshoot issues that may develop when children are using the devices. 4. To develop and launch a mentorship program among stakeholders to adopt a class or school to give support in the correct use of devices and information technology issues, such as the correct use of social media. 5. To formulate an initiative for at least once a school term to check up on devices that have become faulty or may need to be replaced and passed on to the Ministry of Education.
Primary level education. Children need primary education to develop critical foundational literacy and numeracy skills. UNICEF ND paragraph 1. Primary level education is the first stage of obtaining a formal education. It is the fundamental principle of development as it sets the foundation for students to learn essential skills and prepare them for the world of work. It is also the most important level of education, and therefore, COVID-19 has had the greatest impact on these students. The educators' inability to properly teach primary students will most likely affect their intellectual development and social behavior. According to Trinidad and Tobago's Ministry of Education, primary schools consist of grades 1 to 5, who cater for children ages 5 to 10 years. Subsequently, primary level education is a huge priority on the island, making it compulsory and cost-free for students aged 5 to 15 years. The COVID-19 pandemic has made it difficult for all of these students who are currently enrolled at primary schools, particularly in Plumerton, Trinidad and Tobago.
The situational analysis on behalf of Cherise Bideau. For the past 2 years, globally, COVID-19 impact has been life-changing and devastating. The disease has dismantled the procedures and methods performed, such as economically, financially, and educationally. The unpredictability of the virus has forced society to measure isolation and halt many sectors to curb the spread of the disease. While these measures were implemented, many rural areas were affected on a higher level in comparison to urban developed areas. In Trinidad and Tobago, there is a community called Plumitan, which is considered a rural community. This rural village already faced hardships concerning financial constraints, as their economic income mostly are from self-employment and micro businesses. Due to the unprecedented changes taken to curb the outbreak in the country, families experienced a loss of employment, higher family tensions, and a deep decline financially. This has also majorly affected the children in the community as learning and access to equal quality education were attainable. At home, opportunity and resources to receive instruction of learning is unattainable for many children. In Plumitan, pre COVID 19, the access to education was via physical, in class learning, in schools, and programs aided by the government. However, prior to this, many children still experience hardships to go to school due to family income constraints. Presently, with methods in place for new methods of learning electronically, children engagement in school in this area is low. Many households cannot afford basic utilities, more or less, to provide a new smart device and internet services as an added expense. This leads to severe, unintentional neglect to the children's education and is a hindrance to that child's mobility in the future. To effectively address issues faced by the primary learners in this community, we aim to achieve our selected goals in aid to achieve equal quality education that is an inherent right. The education system must be open to changes in attitudes, learning methods, and reflexive or reflexive practices in teaching.
Access to educational opportunities. The provision of devices will create more education opportunities for students to have access to online classes post COVID 19. The access to devices will afford students in that rural area the ability to benefit from the delivery of the curriculum via online learning using devices provided by the government. The need is more acute as several parents have become unemployed and this increased loss of jobs in the community. A number of self-employed persons have also been affected by reduced opportunities to make a living during the ongoing measures taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And some of them have since gone out of business altogether. These incidents highlight the need for assistance with making devices available to children to attend online classes. According to the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean 2021, this investment is an opportunity in long-term information communication technology infrastructure along with the distribution of devices to students that will be sustainable in the long run. Another important element is the speed of the internet, as well as the need to ensure the infrastructure can survive natural disasters that our island states are prone to periodically. There is also the need to ensure students are trained in the use of various online platforms to reap maximum benefits, such as ease of accessing educational support and being able to utilize the various features and resources effectively. The need for training in the early stages must not be delayed under the assumption that students are already technologically savvy, as this could be misleading, and training must zero in on navigating the learning platforms, which will aid to the correct use of technology. Further, the opening of educational resources with both face-to-face interaction and online tutorials on how to acquire and use the devices in an effective manner is also a great opportunity for learners.
Stakeholder involvement. A stakeholder can be a person, group, or organization who is affected by the result of a project. Landu 2022. For this project, the stakeholders include the government, community members, schools, students, and parents, to name a few. For this to be successful, we need the involvement of all stakeholders. The government is a major stakeholder needed to implement the strategy of device distribution in the community. According to Loop News 2021, approximately 60,000 children were without digital access, but as of April 2021, it has reduced to 30,000. Despite the significant reduction, there are still many children in need of digital access. The schools also play a key factor as they are the institutions that benefit from having additional equipment and materials for the students. Whether at home or in the building, school provides a place for children to learn and express themselves. Additionally, the school will be tasked with providing information to students and those who need devices. The devices provided will need to be distributed. The community members can help by establishing a distribution center using the community center. Furthermore, community members can be tasked with organizing local training for teachers, students, and parents of devices and applications. The parents will benefit from their child having access to a device for school. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, many parents have lost their jobs or are financially constrained. Therefore, provision of devices for their children can put their mind at ease and reduce stress. The students benefit from having access to devices. This helps in both the virtual, blended, and face to face classes. As stakeholders, they are directly impacted if the program is successful or if it fails. In addition to these, the internet providers, for example Flow in Trinidad and Tobago, can be involved in the execution of the project. If the students have devices and no access to Wi Fi, this would make the project redundant and all stakeholders would be affected. Business places like Flow can provide data plans specifically for students in the rural area. This can provide parents with a payment plan for internet service that is not as expensive as the monthly internet bill.
Financial and economic relevance. During an economic crisis, the slowdown of the economy is associated with reductions in hourly wage rates, numbers of hours worked, and the amount of public and private funds available for schools. Such conditions affect children's educational outcomes such as school enrollment, attainment, attendance, and performance. Shafiq, no date. As the community of Plumaiton undergo their setback in the education sector, different ways were established as to what could alleviate some of their financial constraints. The government, using the resources provided to them, can allocate it to the individuals in need from this specific area. In the event that the government is unable to fund this long-standing issue, organizations with the financial capabilities can take on this project. UNICEF is one of such organizations. UNICEF is a United Nations organization that provides humanitarian and developmental help to kids around the world. UNICEF's programs emphasizes developing community-level service to promote the health and well-being of children. They work in over 190 countries and territories to save children's lives, to defend their rights, and to help them fulfill their potential from adulthood through adolescence. This group could assist the rural area of Plumaiton in a significant way by providing tablets for each student or computer to their school to aid in their learning. Also, the internet providers such as Digicel or Flow could assist by providing Wi-Fi service throughout the school period due to COVID-19 pandemic. Most students are now required to do online classes. However, this is a major setback for this community as they do not have access to the device or to the internet service. Additionally, the internet can provide flexible data plans for members of this community who sign up for assistance. Curriculum content and delivery. Choosing the right curriculum for students is key in every aspect of the education system. With the current pandemic, along with other long-standing issues that the community of Plum Mountain and Trinidad and Tobago is currently facing, this is paramount. Our curriculum should not be set in stone, but should be reviewed, tweaked, and improved as it responds to the needs of our children, new ideas, development in education, new texts and resources. Brookfield, no date. This is important in selecting the correct curriculum for students. Additionally, it is vital for teachers to reflect occasionally, as they will be better able to accurately judge the approach of education, evaluation, planning, and design of learning plans and assessment, and also to deal with students' problems in this rural area. It is therefore crucial to carry out these responsibilities with a critical evaluation from as many as different perspectives as possible. Plum requires continuous adjustments to meet the demands of the changing times. This is mainly because no human condition is static. Given the many perspectives on learning and achievement that may exist in a society, defining the appropriate content of the curriculum is very often a source of tension. Therefore, they should be examined rigorously. Also, quality leadership is a key component in the success of any evaluation process. One of the most essential aspects of that leadership role is for education planners to understand the process of evaluation and how it should be administered. Understanding the evaluation process means leaders will have to convey knowledge of curriculum as well as instructional strategies. Curriculum evaluation, no date. Delivering the ideal curriculum to the students of Plum Mountain is the start of their education. Therefore, the education sector will have to convey their expectation of how teaching and learning can be enhanced via the curriculum.
The roles of reflexive or reflective practices in the education policy. COVID-19 has negatively impacted the education system, not only in Plum Mountain, but also around the world. Schools were left to implement new teaching and learning strategies in order to mend the disruptions caused by this global pandemic. Schools were forced to close down in order to minimize the spread of this virus. We have primary school educators and students who have been faced with many difficulties due to the closure of school. The COVID-19 pandemic, in addition, brought about extreme challenges for families in Plum Mountain who were already faced with financial constraints. With the students being out of school for such a lengthy period, they will encounter countless challenges returning to school post the COVID-19 pandemic. Adaptation is a strategy commonly used in early childcare. However, due to the closure of schools, this task may have gone incompleted. Therefore, this education policy aims at guiding both educators and children attaining a primary level education and getting one step closer to a level of normalcy. In there, we have highlighted 3 reflective practices to help achieve the set goals. These reflective models will serve as a guide for educators in order to help primary school students adapt to the post-COVID-19 changes. The proposed education policy introduces training for teachers, students, and parents to educate them on what is required, how, and when. Brookfield's model of reflection helps educators discover, through means of critical self-reflection, the value of their lessons. According to an article by Director of Social Research and Practice and Education Limited, Dr. Nicole Brown, ND, teachers are to reflect on the current situation, after which placing themselves in the students' shoes. They are then advised to view the situation based on their colleagues' observations, and lastly, incorporate theoretical assessments to gain a greater understanding of students and the situation at hand. This model will be very effective for primary level students, since this is the stage at which they begin to develop a sense of independence and complex thinking. Therefore, being taught by someone who is greatly relatable and understanding is a bonus. Stages of 6 to 10 slowly develop better awareness and logical thinking, which makes it so much easier for educators to mold and work with. The Brookfield model of reflection will provide significant support in the further development of these students at primary level. Another model of reflection which can be used and very helpful to those students is John Dewey's reflective thinking model. John Dewey once said, and I quote, "We do not learn from experiences. We learn from reflecting on experiences," end quote. His philosophy was that students learn better by doing. Therefore, Dewey developed 5 stages of reflective learning. Identify the problem, investigate the problem, generate several possible solutions, evaluate the options and choose the best possible solution, and lastly, test the solution. Considering the issues that primary level students are currently facing post-COVID-19, the policy clearly outlines the best possible solution to assist these students. The proposed training for teachers, students, and significant individuals is an ideal representation of Dewey's approach to reflective learning. The final and another effective practice is Driscoll's model of reflection. This model of reflection hubs around 3 stems of questions. What? So what? And what now? Missinganswers.net NB. What is the situation that primary school students are faced with? What are we doing? And who else is involved? Primary school students are faced with challenges of adaptation after major changes post-COVID-19. The education policy, it does not only introduce a strategic plan for students and educators, but it also does for parents and substantial persons. What is the issue and why react the way we do? Primary school students are the future of tomorrow. This is the level at which children develop social, physical, emotional, and cognitive skills. In other words, primary education is the basis for development of a child's character. Mount Olympus School, 2019. According to UNESCO, education should be prioritized in order to avoid generational catastrophe and drive a sustainable recovery from COVID-19. We all know the many benefits and importances of education at its different levels. However, if we are to prepare for the future, primary level students are the main focus. Our final question is, what happens now? Now that we have analyzed the situation, what actions are being taken to address the ongoing issue? This is where the proposed education policy comes into play. It is sectionalized for a clear and precise overview from the goals and objectives down to the effectiveness policy. One of the principal motives for introducing this education policy is to prepare students, particularly primary school students, for a smooth transition from primary level education to secondary level education. As a result of the students being away from school during the duration of the global pandemic, they may experience great difficulties with adapting to new norms post-COVID-19. These reflective practices will assist both educators and students in appreciating and comprehending their teaching and learning practices, as well as knowledge and skills. According to an article by Leon Henry, 2020, teachers reap several benefits from reflective practices. We're talking professional growth, boost of teacher-student relationships, and boost of classroom democracy. On the other hand, some of the benefits for students include performance improvement, development of critical thinking and coping skills, and just overall effective movement. COVID 19 has had the greatest negative impact on primary school students, particularly when it comes to direct interaction among peers and teachers. This is where the professional educators come in. It is quite possible that students may return to classrooms, forgetting somehow the way in which one should socialize. It is part of the biological makeup of human beings to interact with one another, and it is of significant importance to children. Therefore, the education professionals, with this education policy as their guide, need to find a balance and introduce ideas and activities to help those students in every way possible. Activities such as learning styles and personality quizzes. In order for this journey to be an effective one, all parties involved are to do what is required in the best way possible. Unlike many other primary schools in Trinidad and Tobago, Plum Mitten is underdeveloped. It is only fair that all students receive equal education and opportunities. This is why we have chosen to focus on this rural community in regards to the education policy, with, of course, the help of the aforementioned stakeholders. In developing this education policy, we all had to partake in some self-reflection and self-introspection. The original idea of introspection was first introduced in the 1800s by William Wand, Ackerman 2021. While introspection involves self-evaluation, reflections comprise thoughts and feelings towards someone or something. Together, we reflected on the situation at hand and the impacts not only on the community, but also on the country as a whole. Likewise, through introspection, we focused on the future, having a vision for the education system post-COVID-19. The practice of introspection aided in our final decisions about this education policy, of course, with some reflection. By all means, we had to place ourselves in the shoes of these primary level students at Plum Mitten. What would we want to see happen? In what areas would we like to see improvement? What would we do to help ourselves? And what would be the outcome? We had to incorporate reflective practices in order to create the best version of this policy. What was the issue? Why was it a trigger? What did we do? And was it a success? Through this process, we were able to develop the most informative education policy to ensure the success of students, particularly in Plum Mitten post-COVID-19.
Training teachers, students, and others. A large selected number of individuals in the teaching profession aim to provide quality learning to students. Quality learning can be described as a connection and method that allows our students to gain information, skills, and insight, while also developing crucial abilities like teamwork, communication, imagination, and critical thinking. St. Andrews College, ND. However, with the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a swift and sudden change to remote learning in Trinidad and Tobago and many neighboring countries. A large majority of the primary school teachers did not have the knowledge or understanding of online school and its different applications. This therefore supports our initiative to provide training for the teachers, parents, and students. Training would include information on proper device use and maintenance for durability, how to utilize the different applications that it comes with, and how this device can be used in face-to-face, online, and blended classrooms. The teacher will be given the opportunity to learn from someone who will provide them with how the device works and ways in which it can be utilized in the classroom. Parents and caregivers are the ones who usually take on the task of helping students complete homework and conduct research. As a parent, it is important to know about the devices your child has to ensure their protection. Parents will be informed about safety measures that can be implemented for the device use. Furthermore, students will be taught how to use these devices mainly for school and research. Community members can also be trained to provide the interested individuals with information about the devices. This may allow for quicker flow of information and easier distribution of human resources. Training is something that takes time. So, although there are many benefits, there are some faults. With the urgency and need for these devices, the time taken for training might seem to some irrelevant and unimportant. However, everyone benefits from training because they get a better grasp of their duties, as well as the information and skills required to accomplish their jobs. This will boost their self assurance, which will help them perform better overall. Taken from the article, The Importance of Training, ND. Therefore, it would be in the best interest of all parties involved to engage in the training process. The benefits, effectiveness, and relevance of reflective practice to the education policy. Presently, most health professions guidelines and certification methods now demand demonstrations of reflective practice to show ongoing competence. Southern Cross University, 2022. It is evident that reflective practice is an important aspect of the medical field. However, is reflective practice relevant in the field of education? Teachers, students, and schools in general can benefit from practicing reflection. Reflective teaching is a more structured methodology of gathering, documenting, and assessing a teacher's and students' opinions and findings, and then making adjustments as a result. Spalding 2020. Reflective teaching is even more important during the COVID-19 pandemic. A large majority of children are now in new environments and engage in new methods of learning. The teacher then is tasked with analyzing the methods used to deliver information and determine if it is effective. After analyzing findings, the instructor must then determine what can be done to engage students. Students can benefit greatly from engaging in self reflection and making necessary changes in their study and work completion patterns. In a traditional school setting, oftentimes as part of assessment, the teacher corrects the work and leaves comments for the child to improve. The child then is expected to take this information, reflect on it, and improve the next time an assessment like this comes around. School administrators and principals can also benefit from reflective practice. Reflective practice can engage critical thinking and problem solving skills. The continued practice can encourage creativity, imagination, and development of innovative and unique solutions to problems. As principals, decision making is part of the job description. Therefore, they would need to make decisions promptly. There are many theories and models of reflection that can be explored to give support to actions that are already being done or need to take place. One of the models include Brookfield's model of reflection. The study of a problem from several perspectives is the foundation for this reflective paradigm. Brown ND. This model of reflection is very relevant in the process of putting together the education policy. The practitioners, in finding a solution to the problem, must look at it from different perspectives. The perspectives may be that of the school administrators, teachers, students, parents, community members, and analyze how the problem affects them. After doing so, a solution can be provided that benefits the majority of individuals. Using the situation at Plummiton as an example, parents are financially constrained and therefore may not be able to provide as they did before. As reflective practitioners, we then look at the problem from the view of the parent, students, and teachers. We then should ask, In what way can this problem be addressed and benefit the majority? One of the solutions included providing devices. This solution can ease parents' stress of trying to find devices for children to go to school. Teachers benefit from having an effective way to deliver education to their students. Students also benefit from having access to education that they otherwise would not have. Another example of a reflective model is Driscoll's model of reflection. The model mentioned includes three STEM questions: what, so what now, according to GLAD 2020. The first question, what, engages our recall and asks to explain the event or situation that occurred. The second question, so what, includes analyzing the event or situation previously outlined. The final question, what now, is intended to engage the individual in planning for the future based on what was uncovered in the other steps. The Driscoll's model aims to encourage students to participate in critical thinking by using their past experiences to create positive outcomes for the future of their learning. John Driscoll's model of reflection, ND. Practice of this theory will allow students to become more aware of what is occurring and needed for the best learning experience. Additionally, students will become more engaged in virtual classrooms as their trust builds with their teachers. Their productivity will increase as their understanding of topics and lessons becomes easier to understand. This can also aid in the completion and execution of the education policy. Practitioners can state the situation and discuss its characteristics as the first step. The second step being to take time to assess and analyze the situation given. Lastly, they would be tasked with planning ahead for the future. What can be changed or done differently, improved or implemented to fix the situation, or to improve the situation initially analyzed? The last model of reflection that we'll focus on is John Dewey's reflective thinking theory. The 5 phases of reflective thinking include identification, evaluation, and requirements for an acceptable outcome, as well as the production and selection of an appropriate remedy. NERUL 2021. This model is important in the formulation of the education policy. During the course of putting the document together, the team in charge may encounter issues. Can reflection be used to help solve team issues? The answer is yes, it can. An issue may arise, for example, individuals with opposing views or propositions. They can then both state their ideas, evaluate them both, and outline the benefit that both would provide. Generate a possible solution to the issue, which would involve, in this case, settling the argument. In selecting the best outcome, the benefits of each idea should be examined as a group, determine which solution is better, and implement that idea. This model is beneficial as it prepares students to become adaptable to different delivery of learning and to adopt independent learning skills that will equip them for lifelong. Implications of not using reflexive and reflective theories in learning. The implementation of the theories mentioned above shows evidently that it is crucial in the success of quality, holistic learning post COVID-19. By not implementing the theories, it may have repercussions visible in the teachers, students, and principals. Even the individuals tasked with putting the document together would encounter added difficulty without the process of reflection during the project. In schools, lack of reflective practice can cause demotivated students as they feel a sense of frustration adapting to the way of learning. Children in primary level can become easily frustrated and confused as they are still developing. Productivity in students will decrease as creativity and improving methods of teaching may not be applicable to the current situation in learning. Additionally, this can prohibit coping capabilities with students as they adapt to the new methods of teaching. This implication may lead to lack of concentration in the classroom when school revisits its traditional methods of learning. In a general sense, It is clear to see the relevance, effectiveness, and benefits that occur when one takes part in reflective practice. One of the disadvantages that can be highlighted is that reflection may take a bit more time. However, the solution coming from this time will be better informed, more accurate, and long lasting. In addition to these theories, a reflective practitioner must also ensure that they are examining themselves. This includes discovering weaknesses and strengths, understanding your beliefs, views, and opinions on certain topics and situations. As we continue to grow, it's important that we utilize skills learned to progress. Here is our group learner profile. According to Lynch 2018, a learner profile is a statement, activity, or even a discussion that helps teachers understand their pupils better. This, therefore, is inclusive of a student's skills, strengths, weaknesses, experiences, and learning styles. The members of Early Risers have taken an online questionnaire called VARC to determine our individual learning styles. The result shows that 4 out of 5 of the members are kinesthetic learners, with the last one being multimodal. According to Newton College, ND, a kinesthetic or tactile learning approach necessitates manipulating or touching things to learn. In addition, learners can use audio and visual aspects to bring about better understanding of concepts. This was seen in our group meetings, whereby a combination of visual aspects and discussion was used to bring about a clear understanding of the assignment. Through completing a group collaborative discussion, we were made aware of the group's strengths and weaknesses. One of the main weaknesses observed in the group was that of procrastination, also linked to poor time management skills. This affects how we complete group work and tasks given to complete. On the other hand, our strengths included planning or calendar keeping and accountability. Planning helps us to keep up with assignments and coursework provided during the semester. Detailed calendar keeping includes due dates of assignments and important dates in our personal life. The group agrees that there are many ways to address our weaknesses and use our strengths to our advantage. Some of this includes keeping a detailed study planner involving assignment duties, study time, and personal reflection time. To work on our time management, we concluded that prioritizing tasks for completion can be an effective way to help. Furthermore, we agree that we are self directed learners who develop from past experiences and use reflection to help in improving our learning. Self directed learners are driven, self assured, and self controlled persons who set clear objectives, plan ahead, show leadership, and are receptive to learning. Tikol and Demiel, 2018. Here is our group reflection. Reflective practice is an important aspect on a road to success and growth. Reflective practice occurs when a person focuses on what they have learned and examines how their findings could affect the larger setting in which they work. Colas 2020. As this group, Early Risers, garners the information for this task, it helps us to understand the challenges the education sector faces on a daily basis and also come up with possible solutions to deal with these problems. As we have learned, by exploring our individual personalities and beliefs, it is unanimous that mindset plays an important role in how we approach the assignment. Before we delved into the schematics of the project, we ensured to keep a positive mindset and shared words of encouragement with each other. A mindset is a collection of beliefs that influence how someone views the world and oneself. Cherry, 2021. Furthermore, using the information that we possessed of our weaknesses, the group decided to take initiative. Instead of procrastinating, the group quickly went through the process of delegating tasks and setting deadlines. With our recognized strengths in planning, we created a checklist to complete the different aspects of the assignment in a timely manner. Additionally, knowledge of the different learning styles helped in how we approached our tasks. In meetings, we used written, audio, and verbal discussions to assist in making decisions and progressing forward. Furthermore, when making decisions, the group leader used different platforms to cater to the diverse members of the group. We used a combination of Google Docs, Google Forms, WhatsApp platform, Zoom, and Google Meets to discuss and make important group decisions promptly. After completing the assignment and reflecting, it was evident that we used Donald Scone's reflective model. Donald Scone defines reflection as experts' capacity to consider what they are doing as they are doing it. The Scone Reflective Model, 2018. In a situation where we were not sure how to delegate the many tasks between limited members, we took time to think and decided to divide the work even more. So, instead of one person doing 4 pages, 4 individuals could do 1 page each. This encouraged us to collaborate even more, as each of these individual parts were to merge into one at the end. Here are the references used within this presentation.